Welcome to a new episode of Six String Philosophy. This one's called Killer Tunes, Volume 1. I've always loved songs that tell a story, and as a guitar player, I've always liked tunes that make a lot of room for the lyrics. So the first song is a song called The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. Back in high school when we were watching Reservoir Dogs, they're all sitting around in a diner, and there's this one scene.
Down here, The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia came on. I hadn't heard that song since it was big. And when it was big, I must have heard it a million trillion times. But this is the first time I ever realized that the girl singing the song is the one who shot Andy.
Wait, you mean you didn't know that Vicki Lawrence was the one who shot Andy?
I thought it was the cheating wife shot Andy.
Yeah, but they said that at the end of the song.
I know I heard it. That's what I'm talking about.
Don't call me mother.
I remember thinking, like, how could this guy be that confused? And so I started listening to this song. It really, you have to almost sit down. It's almost like a Tarantino movie itself, this song, where it's all these different characters that it mentions, the who, what, where, when, why. And that kind of is the build-up and the aftermath is what makes all of these common to each other. It's like kind of like common ingredient. All the songs that you're going to see, I think without exception on this episode, maybe a little different on the next. If there's a volume 2, it'll be a little different. But on this episode, almost all of them can be played using open chords. So I'll put on the screen, we'll overlay the chords. If you want to try this, play along with these. If you're a beginner and all you know is open chords, the good news is I'll be moving the capo around and keeping it all in those common open grips. So here goes. All right, second song is a song by Johnny Cash. There's a version by the band that I love a lot also, but in the end, this one won over. So the song is called Long Black Veil. The narrator, who's a ghost, is wrongfully accused of a murder, allows himself to be convicted and executed because in actuality, it was a case of mistaken identity, but he was off having an affair with his best friend's wife, and so did not want to bring that to light. This kind of has the feel of either a Shakespearean tragedy or one of those Greek tragedies where, nobody really wins in this. But it's a great story. Really love the way it's just kind of like that, single guitar and vocal, really haunting and pretty amazing. So here goes. Starting off with that C grip. Next selection, Janie's Got a Gun. This one's a little different than the rest of the murder ballads that we're handling here in this Killer Tunes episode, in that it's a little more elaborate. Well, a lot more elaborate. If you listen to the actual album production, it's pretty massive. There's a zillion tracks, zillion elements going on in there. I was impressed listening back to it when I put the headphones on this week and just hearing all of what's going on there. There's extra vocal pieces, there's in the instrumentation. As far as the vocal content and the lyrical content goes, this was a song that back in 7th grade, Miss Toriani's general music class, we were assigned to bring in a song. And this was a song that I brought in. Had to type out the lyrics or write them out, I guess, I don't know, and photocopy them for the class and then stand up in front of the room and talk about the meaning of it. And so, the theme was extremely serious. It's basically somebody who's breaks the cycle of abuse by confronting their abuser. And in this song, in the chorus part, in the actual album track, you can hear Tommy Kramer slamming down the floor tom. I think that when I listen back to it, that's like sort of the sound of the gun firing. And a few of these songs do that, where they do like little tone painting. I don't know if that's the right word, but they'll put in musical and lyrical elements that kind of like agree with one another in the production, and it does add power to it. This arrangement's done in open chords, and here goes. The next category is going to be two songs that name check a major character from the lyrics. The first one is Leroy Brown, all right, written by Jim Croce. This one is a song that when I was a kid, I thought was just super corny. And then in putting this episode together, I started listening to it more and more and more and kind of falling in love with it. It is corny, maybe, but it's also just stylized, and I don't think it's taking itself super seriously. Especially, I listened to some clips of Jim Croce talking about the song himself, and it was just loosely based on a character that he was in the service with, and he kind of made up the whole rest of it because the guy was just kind of like ultimate, badass, born to lose type guy, and so he rolled him into this narrative. A lot of what you hear in the lyrics is kind of reminds me of like a Shel Silverstein poem. Like it's a lot of schoolyard references. They talk about meaner than a junkyard dog. My brain goes to like the Stand By Me movie, or when he talks about old King Kong. And my absolute favorite line from this song is when they pulled him from the floor, Leroy looked like a jigsaw puzzle with a couple of pieces gone. Just incredible. So great. So when you listen to the song on your own, listen to it in that context. Just have fun. Enjoy it. This one goes back to the very much more typical simple arrangements. Play the bar chords and kind of walk up with it. Or another cool way to do it is keeping it in this open, and instead of doing the typical 12 bar little move like that, you can grab this G chord and just kind of like come on and off of the second fret of the D string. And instead of doing this, you could just park it on the A chord. Because sometimes if you're a new player, this stretch, or even if you just have small hands, this stretch can be a bit daunting, the whole. So just build it this way. G chord, coming on and off this second fret. Dominant 7 chords. Give that one a shot. That's a really cool one because probably the most mainstream of all the songs that we have here. So if you're gonna spend your calories learning one of them, that's a fun one that you can learn and just jam out with people. People know the lyrics. When the chorus comes around, it's fun. All right. So in the other half of this category, we have Mack the Knife. This is relatively simple chord changes. Okay, just like all the rest up to this point. The one difference is that as you listen to this song, it moves up and modulates, which means the key is changing throughout the course of the song. We're just going to capture the original revolution through this, and so and a little bit simplified version. ahead, and you can play along with that. It's Mack The Knife. Add that melody. So let's talk about the lyrical content of this one. So this one hails from a time even further back. It was written at the tail end of the 1800s in Germany, and then was then rearranged into English. I think it was from a play or a musical. And so pretty brutal song, but gets away with it. Again, Mack The Knife is something that just, it's camouflaged in this Rat Pack crooning type of a tune, with all the jazzy lingo and stuff like that, that it doesn't really overtly come out and say anything, you know, gruesome, but there's lyrics, beautiful lyrics like scarlet billows and oozing life. I mean, it's like kind of like half beautiful, half grotesque language. I think it's awesome. This one grew on me, especially in consideration of this episode. So it's a cool one to learn. I don't know if I would attempt it live, especially because of all those key changes. If you're, you know, slick and you want to move each time it revs through, moving it and modulating it up using the capo, that's probably, not really super feasible to do that live. But you could also just learn it in bars and then just move it up one. Another song like this one that my daughter had to learn for jazz band was Sunny, but it's very similar. It's the same revolving, relatively simple progression. Also, could be done using 6 chords. More taste to that in these 9th chords. And really minor 7s. So this version here is sort of like a level 1 version. I've seen people perform this where they articulate the melodies and things like that, and absolutely those would be places to grow into. But just as far as getting being able to support someone who's singing it, or to be able to get it into your hands as a beginner player, this is a cool way to go.